Is it possible that a house, one whose ownership was never even officially announced, could render millions of people speechless, make them question reality, and collectively realize that they are witnessing something far greater than a simple property tour of an idol? This was the question that quietly exploded in the minds of ARMY when a video lasting no more than 40 seconds appeared on timelines, without warning, without an official narrative, and without any claim other than one undeniable reality. Jungkook BTS's new home is not merely a place to live, but a symbol of power whose value is said to be unreasonable. At first, no one expected the video to become the trigger for an emotional uproar on a global scale. Uploaded by the fan account at Ghost on August 31, 2025 on Platform X, the visual clip appeared simple. Jungkook was seen wearing a red New York Yankees cap and a plain black t-shirt, a style long familiar to ARMY as part of his everyday look. There were no expensive suits, no flashy jewelry, no apparent attempt to show off anything. Yet this was precisely where the emotional trap lay. The simplicity of his appearance clashed sharply with the setting that gradually revealed itself behind him, creating a contrast that made anyone watching fall silent for a few seconds longer than they should have. The room, widely suspected to be a private theater, instantly erased long-held assumptions about what an idol's simplicity should look like. The glossy marble floors reflected light in a way too perfect to be called accidental. Rows of black seats were neatly arranged like those in a high-end cinema, not merely a household entertainment space. Dramatic red lighting enveloped the room, giving it an almost cinematic exclusivity, while thick curtains and high-end speaker systems suggested a level of investment that was anything but casual. This was not a room built simply for relaxation. It was a space designed with precision, taste, and most provocatively, an extraordinary budget. This was where public reaction began to shift. In the first moments, many smiled, feeling as if Jungkook was merely sharing a small fragment of his life, as he often does through live broadcasts or casual uploads. But the longer the video was replayed, the clearer it became that what was being shown was not an ordinary glimpse. There were details too polished, too expensive, too deliberate to ignore. Jungkook even interacted briefly with a beverage trolley, a small gesture that felt warm and familiar to some, yet for others only reinforced the impression that this was a lifestyle accessible to only a handful of people in the world. The Spanish-language caption accompanying the upload accelerated the spread of collective emotion.
Pero ya hablando en serio, la casa de Jungkook es enorme, lujosa, carísima, elegante, minimalista, divina. Cada espacio que nos ha mostrado se ve demasiado cool. A mí me gusta mucho. ¿Quién pudiera?
This sentence was not merely praise. It was an honest admission from a fan who recognized the gap between admiration and reality. Its translation, describing Jungkook's house as huge, luxurious, extremely expensive, elegant, minimalist, and beautiful, circulated rapidly, repeated thousands of times, almost like a new mantra affirming one thing. What had just been seen could no longer be regarded as normal. Within hours, the video surpassed 34,000 views, accompanied by thousands of likes and reposts. These numbers might seem small compared to Jungkook's streaming records, but the context was different. This was not a music release, not an official teaser, not a promotional campaign. It was a fragment of private life that leaked into the public sphere, and precisely because of that, its impact felt stronger. ARMY, long accustomed to separating the stage from their idol's personal life, were suddenly confronted with the difficult reality to digest. Jungkook is not only successful, he exists on an economic and symbolic level far beyond what many had imagined. The reply section transformed into a space of collective reflection, admiration mixed with shock, honest envy blended with pride. One user at Miranducha described the house as a billionaire's home, emphasizing that every corner has its own style. Though merely an opinion, the statement quickly became a repeated narrative. Another user at Ivanabersanu openly expressed the desire to become a billionaire, just to be able to build her own dream house. These comments were not just compliments, they reflected how Jungkook's house functioned as a mirror of aspirations, dreams, and at the same time, a very real social boundary. The comment that sparked the most discussion was the one describing the house as a 5-story mansion complete with an elevator. Whether or not the claim was true became almost irrelevant. because the public imagination had already taken shape. When a house can provoke speculation about the number of floors and the existence of a private elevator, it is clear that its symbolic value has surpassed its physical function. The house was no longer merely property, it became a metaphor for the peak of success, for the distance that now stretches between Jungkook as a public figure and the everyday lives of his fans. Yet beneath all of this lay a quieter but far sharper question. Can Jungkook still be called relatable when the reality of his life is so far removed from that of most people? Or is that precisely where the paradox lies? That he continues to appear simple, smiling casually and speaking without distance, even while standing on marble floors whose value may exceed the lifetime dreams of most of his fans. This question is never answered explicitly, but it hangs in the air, accompanying every replay of the video. Jungkook, born on September 1, 1997, and known as BTS's Magne, has long been at the center of attention. His solo success through songs such as Seven and Standing Next to You has solidified his position as a global star, even beyond the shadow of his group. Yet this revelation of his home introduces a new narrative, more personal and ironically more shocking. This is not about charts or awards, but about how success materializes in real living spaces, in walls, floors, and lighting that anyone can see. Amid BTS's group hiatus due to the members' military obligations, Jungkook remains active, present, and a gravitational center of public attention. This video of his new home, though not intended as a major announcement, only reinforces that image. It shows that behind the absence of group activities, there is a life that continues to move forward, to grow, and perhaps, without anyone realizing it, to leave an emotional shock far deeper than any music release. The first chapter of this story thus ends in a silence full of meaning. ARMY fall quiet, not out of disappointment, but because they are processing something immense. Jungkook's new home, with all its visual simplicity and hidden luxury, has opened the door to a broader discussion about success, social distance, and how an idol can feel both close and unreachable at the same time. And if just 40 seconds were enough to trigger all of this, the question now becomes even more compelling. What else have we yet to see, and what kind of surprise is truly waiting behind those minimalist walls? If the first chapter was about shock, then this second chapter moves deeper, quieter, and far more unsettling. What does Jungkook's new home actually mean to the public, and why does luxury wrapped in minimalist aesthetics feel more disturbing than a grand palace filled with ornaments? This question does not arise merely from public envy, but from a paradox that cannot be ignored: the visual simplicity that conceals an economic value said to be unreasonable. Minimalism within architectural discourse in modern culture is often associated with awareness, self-control, and even humility. Empty space is not a lack, but a statement. Neutral colors are not an absence of character, but symbols of calm. However, when this concept is applied to the home of a global star like Jungkook, its meaning shifts drastically. Minimalism here no longer signifies frugality, but extreme selectivity. Every element that appears simple instead signals the ability to choose the very best without needing to prove anything. This is what causes many ARMY to fall silent for longer than mere admiration would suggest. Jungkook's home does not display luxury in a conventional way. There is no glittering gold or excessive decoration. Instead, what emerges are spaces that feel calm, clean, almost visually silent. Yet this calmness provokes a subtle discomfort. If this looks simple, then how expensive must it actually be to create simplicity like this? This question repeatedly surfaces in online discussions, as if the public is trying to translate a form of luxury that does not shout. More perceptive fans begin to read the small clues. The glossy marble floors are not merely an aesthetic choice, but materials with a fantastic price, especially if their quality and installation meet the standards of elite hotels or buildings. The dramatic red lighting system in the private theater is not ordinary lighting, but part of a curated lighting design that typically involves professional designers. The black cinema-style seats are not generic furniture, but specialized seating with calculated ergonomics and sound quality. All of these details quietly construct a narrative about the home's value, a narrative never spoken aloud, yet one that feels heavy. It is here that more complex emotions emerge. Some ARMY feel proud, even deeply moved, seeing how far Jungkook has come from his trainee days to the present. The house is read as the result of hard work, sacrifice, and almost inhuman consistency. Yet for others, there is a sense of estrangement that is difficult to articulate. Not jealousy in a negative sense, but an awareness that Jungkook now lives in a reality that is truly different. He still smiles the same way, still wears a simple black t-shirt, but the world in which he stands has fundamentally changed. This phenomenon reveals something rarely discussed openly in fandom culture: the moment when an idol grows faster than the imagination of their fans. For years, ARMY followed Jungkook's journey as a talented young person who learned, fell, rose again, and evolved. Many felt they grew alongside him. Yet this new house becomes a visual marker that a certain finish line has been crossed. Jungkook is no longer merely successful. He has entered a social class typically occupied only by global elites, conglomerates, or figures with extraordinary economic power. What makes this even more provocative is the absence of any official statement. Jungkook does not stand before the camera to explain the value of his home, does not confirm speculation about 5 floors or a private elevator, does not respond to the label of billionaire's house attached to him. This silence only amplifies the effect. In the modern media world, what is left unsaid often carries more power than what is announced. Every unexplained detail becomes space for the public to speculate, imagine, and without realizing it, build a new mythology around Jungkook. Social media accelerates this process. Video clips are slowed down, enlarged, analyzed. Camera angles are scrutinized, reflections of light are calculated. Even Jungkook's steps inside the space are read as indicators of its size. This may sound excessive, but this is precisely where the phenomenon lies. This house has become a cultural text, an object read and interpreted by millions of eyes from different backgrounds. For some, it is inspiration. For others, a bitter reminder of inequality. And for many ARMY, it is a combination of both. Amid these discussions, one narrative begins to solidify. The value of Jungkook's house is not merely about numbers, but about symbols. This home represents a new phase, not only in Jungkook's life, but in the relationship between idol and fandom. It marks the point where emotional closeness no longer depends on shared living conditions, but on the honesty of expression. Jungkook does not pretend to live simply in an economic sense. He simply lives simply in attitude. The difference is subtle but crucial. Timing also plays an important role. This video emerged while BTS was on group hiatus due to military obligations. In the absence of group activities, every fragment of information about the members becomes more meaningful. Jungkook's new home indirectly fills that narrative vacuum. It becomes visual proof that even as the group stage temporarily dims, the individual lives and successes of its members continue to grow. Perhaps even beyond expectations, fan expectations begin to shift as well. Many hope Jungkook will share more content like this after completing his military service in June 2025. But this hope is no longer merely about seeing their idol more often. It is about understanding his world. This house has opened a door, even if only slightly, into a private space that was previously almost untouchable. And like all doors left slightly ajar, it invites far more curiosity than the answers it provides. This second chapter ends with a deeper awareness and for some, a heavier one. Jungkook's new home is not only about luxury or design. It is a mirror of changing status, a symbol of distance that grows alongside success, and a reminder that in the global entertainment world, emotional closeness does not always move in step with the quality of reality. The question now is no longer how expensive is the house, but what does all of this mean for the way we see Jungkook and ourselves? Jungkook's new home, with all its surface-level simplicity, has slowly changed the way many ARMY perceive success. Not merely because of its luxury, but because it presents a reality that is difficult to deny. For years, Jungkook has been known as a close figure, someone who laughs freely on live broadcasts, who shares nervousness, exhaustion, and joy in a way that feels deeply human. This house, without a single word of explanation, adds a new layer to that narrative. Jungkook now living in a space that is economically and symbolically far above the average. Strangely, instead of damaging emotional closeness, many fans experience something far more complex. There is a pride that is difficult to explain logically. It feels as if Jungkook's success is a collective success, proof that the long journey witnessed since his trainee days did not end in vain. The house becomes a kind of silent monument to years of hard work, endless practice, packed schedules, global pressure, and expectations that were almost inhuman at the same time. There is another kind of silence. Not anger, not rejection, but awareness. An awareness that Jungkook is now in a phase of life that not all of his fans can imagine, let alone reach. The house visualizes a distance that had previously only been faintly felt. A distance that does not destroy the relationship, but reshapes it. From "we grew together" into "I am watching you grow far ahead." Interestingly, Jungkook himself never forces this narrative. He does not stand in front of the camera to claim achievements, does not explain the details of his home, does not validate or deny speculation. This silence becomes the greatest surprise of all. In a celebrity world that is meticulously curated and tightly controlled, silence can be the strongest statement. Jungkook lets his home speak for itself, and it is the public who assigns meaning to it. This is where the house changes its function. It is no longer merely a place to live, but a symbolic space where many emotions converge. Admiration, inspiration, reflection, even existential questions. For some ARMY, the house sparks ambition, a desire to work harder and dream bigger. For others, it becomes a reminder that success comes with consequences, the separation of realities, the solitude behind luxury, and a life that can no longer be fully shared. The context of Jungkook completing his mandatory military service in June 2025 adds yet another layer of meaning. This new home is seen as a point of transition, a symbol of the post-service phase, the beginning of a more mature and independent chapter. Many fans interpret the house as a safe space, a place where Jungkook can return to being himself after years of living under extreme scrutiny. The home's minimalism is read as a need for calm, not a display of wealth. In the end, what truly leaves ARMY silent is not the estimated value of the house, nor speculation about floors or private elevators. What silences them is the realization that they are witnessing the evolution of a human being, not just an idol. Jungkook has not become emotionally distant. He has simply moved forward in life. And perhaps that is where the maturity of the fandom itself lies. In being able to celebrate success without feeling left behind, Jungkook's new home will continue to be discussed, analyzed, and referenced. But over time, the shock will fade, replaced by a quieter understanding that behind those minimalist walls lies not only luxury, but a long story of journey, perseverance, and the price that must be paid to stand at the top. And when the public finally stops asking, "How much is it worth?" perhaps they will begin to ask a more important question: how far can someone go without losing themselves along the way?